Welcome and 07 citizens, Black here from Castle Black Gaming, and this is a review for the MISC Hull A. Now my reviews are meant to be packed with tons of info given at my normal no time wasting format. Now if you like what I do and feel like I deserve it, then please like, subscribe, and comment to tell me which ship review you would like me to tackle next. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get to it. First here on the screen are the stats for the ship. The Hull A is a very budget-friendly, easy upkeep ship that fills a specific need, that being hauling small cargo and being a surface-to-orbit ferry of goods. Its weapon complement is only 2 forward-facing size 1 laser repeaters stock, mounted on a size 5 nose turret, and neither the nose turret nor the repeaters can be swapped for anything else. There are 0 missiles. The ship dimensions are 22 meters in length, 8 meters in width, and 40 meters high. Now as for the components, the ship has 2 size 1 shields, 2 size 1 coolers, 1 size 1 power plant, and 1 size 1 quantum drive. The ship has 17 thrusters for thrust and maneuverability, and 2 size 1 hydrogen fuel tanks, and 1 size 1 quantum fuel tank. For my own use, I've noticed the ship does very well on fuel, whether that be hydrogen or quantanium. As far as living accommodations, the Hull A excels in this area, which is a little weird to me since its primary focus would be smaller hulls with such a small cargo space, but yet there is a kitchen, a bed, and a full bathroom that has a pretty cool toilet and toilet paper roll that slide in or out at the press of a button. The ship has more interior space than you would think it does, and I hope some of the other ships out there that are lacking in such amenities will soon receive some on a gold standard pass, because if they can fit them in so well on such a small ship, then there's hope for some of the other ships to at least get a bathroom. The store currently has 3 paints for the MISC Hull A, which was a little surprising, and I'm glad to see options given, even on such a small specific ship like this. The colors are the Dusk paint, which looks like a black with gold trim paint job. That is probably the one I would purchase if I was to get one. There's also a white with yellowish trim, and a 2-tone variety mixing the black and white from the looks of the picture, which is also quite nice and gives it a sort of retro look. The Hull A is a cargo ship first and foremost, and you cannot forget that upon use, as the pickup or lack thereof when leaving orbit of a planet is sure to remind you. It's not as slow as some of the ships I've taken out of the atmosphere, but definitely a cargo hauler speed ship. I believe later on, when hauling cargo is more of a serious gameplay loop, the main use of this ship will be ferrying those small loads to and from a planet. You could also carry trading goods across the system, and here it excels, but again, with such a small cargo capacity, I don't see it getting much more use than that. Currently, the MISC Hull A has all of its intended features, which is something we cannot always say about every ship. There's usually something missing, even if it's just something minor like a tractor beam or other minute feature, but the Hull A is not missing anything, and the only thing about this series of ship that you can say that's missing is that the other hull variants ranging in size from the A all the way up to large multi-system cargo travelers like the Hull D and Hull E. So the intended game loops for the Hull A are in-game, which is hauling cargo, but that does not mean that cargo and trade is in its final form, because there are a lot of changes yet to be implemented, with cargo actually getting a huge refactor in the next patch coming this fall, where cargo will soon all be physicalized, which will change how our characters and ships will interact with cargo. So we should start to see more of an emphasis on specialized cargo ships being needed and used more often. The MISC Hull A is a small ship, the smallest cargo carrier in its size class, and yet it also holds the most cargo for its size class. But as far as how much in credits to make this ship perform at its peak, it's honestly not that bad. If you were to upgrade all of the ship components except the coolers, you would spend almost 100,000 credits. With these components bought, you will be able to have stronger shields and faster quantum travels across Stanton, so it's definitely worth getting those other items. Now the first half of this video has been mostly facts. Now we come to the part where it's more subjective, and although I try not to really push my opinion too much on others, I will give my take coming from a reasonable place, trying to avoid hyping things just for the sake of hype. So how does the Hull A fare on the eyes? Honestly, I love the look of MISC ships. Now the one knock I can say about MISC ships is that they all look pretty much alike, especially in the cockpit area. So whether you're looking at the Expanse that is still in development, the Prospector or this Hull A, you are pretty much looking at the same ship from the front. But similar aesthetics aside, MISC is very much one of my favorite designed ship manufacturers. Their look is very classic looking, reminding me of old school Earth airplanes from like the 40s and 50s. The interiors are nicely done as well, and a step up from Drake, and even at times RSI ships. I like the side profiles, and I think the spindles opening and closing are very cool. This ship fits right into the look and design of MISC, and I'm glad it does, even if it's not reinvigorating itself. So, is the ship fun? I mean, is any cargo ship fun to fly? Most are hulking, terrible turn radius buses that serve a purpose, that purpose being hauling as much junk across the galaxy and arriving in one piece as you can. You won't get there with fancy flying or trick turns, but you'll get there. Now, I will say that I was surprised at how well the Hull A actually turns. It rolls very well and is pretty responsive, even if it's not going to push you back into your seat when you hit the thrusters. It does seem to want to tilt the nose on you at times, but nowhere near as bad as the Cuddy line. It was fun to land and had about the same maneuverability as the Prospector to me, which is another MISC ship I fly a lot, so it felt about the same to me in those terms as far as speeding up, slowing down, or whatnot. Not overly fun to fly, but not a pain either. So for the real money price, it gives you the most SCU of cargo in its class. But just keep in mind that if you're spending real money, odds are you probably want a ship that does more than one single thing, unless you're just a dedicated cargo hauler and you just really want this ship for that. I can say that you're able to do some minor lower tiered bounties with it, and I mean probably just VLRTs or maybe LRTs, unless you're just a really good pilot and can go higher, so you can use the ship for those if you like, but remember you have no missiles, so there's that bit of warning for you. You can also pick up cargo boxes using this ship, so doing the cargo line is another use you can do with it, as I tested this out myself to make sure you could carry a cargo box up the tall ladder, and it worked fine even if it looked a little janky. But is it worth the money though, whether real or not? It is not currently available to buy in-game yet, so I cannot judge that in-game price with credits, but for $90, I would not personally buy it for my playstyle. Again, I like ships that can do more than one thing, unless I'm mining, in which case I believe in buying the Prospector because I do a lot of mining, and if you do a lot of trading, you might want this ship. But I honestly think the Hull B or Hull C will be the one people own more, as you'll be able to do a lot more trading with those to bring in some pretty big bucks. If the buy-in price in-game is under $1 million, it might be a decent ship to have as a hauler for those early money-making schemes, but honestly, even there, I cannot imagine it will be as popular as some of the other ships that have similar SCU space or more, but are more money and can offer up more gameplay loops that work out better than the just barely getting by other gameplay loops you try to handle with the Hull A. So that is going to do it for this ship review of the MISC Hull A. I really like this series of ship and will strongly be tempted by the Hull C, I think. And of course, once we have a system or 3 in game, being a space trucker and hauling a crap ton of cargo across dangerous sectors of space should make for some exhilarating gameplay. But I want to hear from you Hull A owners out there. Let me know how you feel about the ship and tell me what you're hauling to make good credits. Remember to be kind to your fellow gamer, don't pick up strange space hitchhikers along the way, and stay positive citizens.